right, welcome to the Grove City Area Chamber of Commerce's A Celebration of Commerce. I'm Beth Black, your Executive Director. Traditionally, we have hosted an annual dinner at the beginning of the year to celebrate with our membership the successes of the past year and offer an outlook for the new year. Given the pandemic, this was not possible this year. Instead, we had a virtual annual meeting that was made possible with the help of our 2021 President Bree Freeling and the team at Armstrong. Now, tonight, we are able to have an in-person gathering to celebrate the perseverance of our commerce community. We are thankful to tonight's sponsors, AHN Grove City Hospital and Highmark, for helping to make this evening possible. So please join me in a round of applause as thanks. When we gathered for our annual dinner in January 2020, none of us could have imagined what would lie ahead. Since that time, we have experienced shutdowns and quarantines and everything that this global pandemic has brought. Every single person in this room has had their life altered in one way or another. We had to learn to operate in new ways. Employees had to take on new and extra responsibilities to keep the day-to-day functions going. There was uncertainty. There were job losses. There were sacrifices made. There was stress with supply chain issues, and there was added stress with keeping employees and the community as safe as possible. Everyone has been affected in one way or another. But tonight, we want to do something that this pandemic has certainly taught us, which is to celebrate milestones, large or small. The pandemic is not over, but it is important to recognize where we've been and what we've done to get to today. I want to recognize the efforts in this room. First, I would like anyone who works in healthcare, from the frontline workers to those working behind the scenes, making sure operations continue, to please stand. Your hard work and dedication to the health and well-being of others has meant long hours and facing incredible stressors. We thank you for all you have done and will continue to do. So I ask you to please stand again, and if everyone would join me again in a round of applause. And I ask you to stay standing. And again, this is everyone from the front line to the offices to the administration, everyone involved in healthcare. Stand and stay standing if you are able, as I ask others to join you and ask each of the following to stand and remain standing with you. If you were deemed essential and you continue to work to provide goods or services to others during the pandemic, please stand. If your business or organization experienced a shutdown, but you continued to work remotely or in a limited capacity to keep operations going, please stand. If your business or organization experienced a shutdown, but you were able to reopen, please stand. If your business or organization provided goods or services to other businesses, organizations, and/or the community during the pandemic so that their day-to-day could continue, please stand. If you had to take on additional or new responsibilities so that operations could continue, please stand. If you purchased gift cards or to-go food from local restaurants during the pandemic to help keep them operating, please stand. If you purchase gift cards or items from any local business to help keep them operating, please stand. If you donated to local organizations to assist with their efforts in the community, please stand. If you offered a kind word or deed or checked in on someone else to make sure they were doing okay, or you provided support of any kind to groups like frontline workers, even as a wife, please stand. If you are not already standing at this point, you are probably not giving yourself enough credit, so please stand. This is a community. This is our commerce community. This is why we are here tonight for a celebration of commerce. It's all of you. Please join me in a round of applause for the efforts of every person, business, and organization in this room and this community. And now you may be seated. Whether you were deemed essential or non-essential during the pandemic, please know that to our chamber, every one of you is essential. Your sacrifices, your hard work, and your dedication have helped to keep our community functioning. We have supported one another and realized the important roles that each play. As a chamber, our members are essential to our existence and purpose. We are thankful for each and every one of our members, and we celebrate you every day. So welcome. At this time, we would like to recognize our elected officials and special guests who have joined us this evening. If I say your name, if you can just rise. On behalf of U.S. Congressman Mike Kelly, we have Julie Swartfager. On behalf of Pennsylvania State Senator Michelle Brooks, we have Diane Helbig. We have Pennsylvania State Representative Tim Bonner. We have District Magistrate D. Neil McEwen. He is also a candidate running for Mercer County Court of Common Pleas, so we welcome you. From Grove City Borough, we have Mayor Randy Riddle. Council President Mary Kay Maddox. Councilwoman Amy Gallagher. Councilman Jeff Hodge. Councilman Scott Gillette. Councilman Dr. Vince DeStacy. And although he's not elected, he does so very much, so we always recognize him, Borough Manager Vance Oaks. We have Pine Township Supervisor Richard Stachel. We have Grove City School Board Director Dr. Armando Shulo. And if I've missed anyone that is an elected official or is running for office as a candidate, please go ahead and stand up and let us know if we didn't know. Anyone? Okay. If you would please join me in one large round of applause for all these elected officials and all that they do for our community. At this time, I'll have my husband, Jeffrey Black, come up and provide the invocation.
If you would, pray with me. Father God, we want to thank you that we have this time set aside, that we can celebrate, that we can reflect back over a very dark period and find the good that was there. And that we can celebrate together not only our community, but our commerce community. So, Father God, as we enter into the time of fellowship and food, may our conversations be useful. May we have the tone of celebration. May we enjoy each other's company. And may the food bless us so that we can continue to serve you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Okay, welcome everyone, and thank you for coming to be with us tonight as we celebrate commerce together. I'm Bree Freeling from Armstrong, and I'm honored to be serving as the 2021 president of the Chamber's Board of Directors. Although we're still not operating quite as we were pre-pandemic, we're doing whatever it takes to keep the Chamber going and operating at a high level, but we still need your continued support, and your membership renewals are so important to the Chamber's success, so thank you all for your support. We truly believe our members are at the heart of everything we do, and we're here to serve and promote you. I want to recognize and commend Beth for working tirelessly to promote and support our members through various focused social posts such as Member Monday features, job board posts, and much more. Beth also shared critical information with our members during the pandemic and has been there to help our members in any way possible. She did all this while working through the pandemic with the loss of her administrative assistant, but yet Beth still continued to drive new membership to the Chamber. We continue to see Beth's commitment to the success of our Chamber and business community as she put in extra hours creating new artwork for a recent past event, Dinner and a Movie at the Barn, along with our 2 upcoming events in September, all of which needed refreshed artwork from past years. Upcoming, we do have our Trade Show and Wellness Expo on September 18th at Grove City Memorial Park. We'd like to recognize AHN Grove City Hospital and Highmark as event sponsors. Next up will be the annual golf outing on September 22nd, held here at the Grove City Country Club. We want to also recognize AHN Grove City Hospital, Highmark, and Hall Technical Services as event sponsors. We're honored to have these 3 sponsors and so many additional members coming in at various sponsorship levels to make this golf outing a success. We not only have Beth to thank for the success of the various events we have had or will have this year, but also our board of directors who have all been part of task forces that we put together to brainstorm and come up with creative ways to hold our traditional events and look for additional ways to promote our businesses. As I reflect back to preparing for our update that we gave virtually earlier this year, it was still unknown what 2021 was going to look like as far as being together the way we were accustomed to prior to 2020 and what the events would look like. Although 2021 is looking more like it did pre-pandemic, we're still not quite there yet. We have begun to hold our board of directors meeting in person, but they're held outdoors, and we were blessed enough to be able to welcome all of you here tonight. But we still find ourselves continuing to improvise events, and we may continue to into 2022, but no matter what happens, we will still continue to serve our members at the high level you all have come to expect from us. We are truly thankful for each member that renews their membership with our chamber, along with new members who have or will choose to join our chamber this year. In closing, I want to again thank Beth and our board of directors for working together to support our members in any way possible, and I'm honored to have been given the opportunity to serve as the president of the board of directors, and I'm proud of how well the chamber has done through this pandemic, and we have our members to thank for that. So with that, I'm going to introduce our speaker tonight. Dr. David Tuppins is president of Allegheny Health Network, Grove City Hospital. Dr. Tuppins comes to AHN with an extensive clinical and administrative background. Most recently, he served as executive vice president of Central Maine Healthcare and president of Central Maine Medical Center in Lewiston, Maine, a 234-bed acute care hospital. You can find his full bio in tonight's program, so please take a look at that to read the rest of it. But please join me in welcoming Dr. Tuppins.
Thank you, Bree. So I will be joined by my partner in crime, my beautiful wife of 28 years, Jay, who is going to be my own personal band of wife for this evening. I told her that, hey, do you want to come to a dinner with me? And she was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And as we're walking in, she says, you know, you didn't tell me you were speaking tonight. So I was like, and now I put her to work. So that's how we work. That's the amazing relationship that we have. So, let me get the beat. So to start off, this is the interactive part of the presentation, so I don't want you to be shy. Who here has an example of something that they treasure because of the story behind it, whether it's a trophy or just even your favorite t-shirt, something like that? So there's got to be somebody. What have you got? That is awesome. A Pillsbury Doughboy from winning a Pillsbury Doughboy Bake-Off contest. We are in the presence of royalty. So, all I have is on Sunday, I got this hat. And this hat has a story behind it too, and I think I'll probably keep it around for a little while because of the story. And so when I was thinking, well, what am I going to talk about to this group of people tonight? And I was encouraged to tell you a little bit about who I am. And because honestly, healthcare is complicated. It's a little bit hard to understand sometimes, and sometimes it's just plain dry. So I'll try to talk about something that hopefully isn't quite as dry. Now it's interesting to me, it may be totally boring to you, so hang with me here for a minute. So what I got the hat for is for finishing the Steamboat gravel race. First question that pops into your head, what the heck is a gravel race? It is not this. So gravel racing is a weird kind of bike riding. So most of you remember when you were little, you'd have your 10 speed or however many speeds you had at that point, and you'd just run around and drive all over. It's your way to have freedom because you couldn't drive. And so what gravel racing is for me at least, a safer version of bike riding. Because I do not want to be caught on a road, no disrespect, with all of you all in your cars. And me on my 10-pound bicycle and you in your couple of ton SUV. So what we do is we take regular looking bikes, we put big fat tires on them, we put disc brakes on them, and we go drive them around on crazy dirt roads in the middle of nowhere. And we call that fun. This is probably a good example of what you feel like when you're doing this kind of riding though, because you're on these road bikes, but you're going down this kind of gravel and rocks. And so I think he's smiling, he's probably grimacing. This is another example of why I like gravel racing. It's a mass start, meaning everybody starts at the same time. All the women start, all the men start, and it's everybody for themselves. So it doesn't matter whether you think you're good, it's who you're racing against. Okay, so I'm going to throw, you guys are all kind of businessy kind of folks, so I'm going to throw some alliteration at you. I've got 3 P's of what makes me tick when I'm thinking about what the heck am I going to do this race for. So the first P obviously is preparation. And so we've got a couple of things when you're preparing for any kind of an event. You've got your knowns. And for me, I know where this race is going to be, what the date is, how high above sea level this is, and I get some specifics about the course. So this particular course was in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. Now that seems like a really nice place until you realize it's 8,000 plus feet above sea level. It's also going to be in mid-August, and so that shows a temperature range anywhere from 50 degrees in the morning to the mid to upper 80s during the afternoon. And then of course, that thing at the bottom, that's the elevation diagram of the race. And that starts at 8,000 feet and goes up north of 9,000 feet. You go up to 10,000 feet and it's game over. So basically, as you're planning this out, you have to figure out how am I going to get there, how am I going to get all my stuff there, and then what am I going to do once I get there. Those are the knowns. These are the unknowns. Hopefully the rabid raccoon is the least of my worries, but there are some environmental things that you don't know until you toe the line the morning of the race. And that includes temperature, precipitation, because 60 degrees in wet is a completely different race than 60 degrees in sun. You've got potentially water crossings. This is the middle of pretty much nowhere, so there could be trees down, you could come across ATVs, four-wheelers, who knows what's out there. Some of that is just why we do this crazy stuff. Other things that could go wrong, mechanical stuff. Your tires can pop, that's the most common thing. Your brakes can get worn down or have problems with your brakes. Your shifting can go squirrely, and all of a sudden you have one gear, you get all up and down those mountains, and your chain can even break. So part of what we're doing with preparation is understanding how your tools work and how you're going to fix these problems when they come up, having your plan. Then there's all sorts of physical things, as you can imagine. A big part of why so many people don't finish these races is because their body does something crazy that they weren't prepared for. Gastrointestinal upset is a big one. Dehydration, if it's hot out, is another one. And then, of course, there's your touch points. Your most important things, what you're sitting on, what kind of shoes you're wearing, and what kind of gloves you have on your hands are all very key things, because those are the 3 places that you touch the bike for anywhere, if you're a pro, and I'm not, for 6 hours to 10 plus hours at the end of this race. And then, of course, you have the mental aspect of this. And one of the things that I think is applicable for business, but we really do a poor job in business, is when I'm trying to figure out how am I going to finish a 140-mile race, I get a coach. Because the coach knows what they're doing. They're professionals. They have experience in this. They can make my job easier because I don't have to figure out how to create a training plan for myself. They tell me how to do it. And then they can help me adjust depending on what happens. I've had coaches before professionally for my work, and it's amazing. And I think that if some of you have not actually accessed a coach or had someone that can mentor you or tell you how to do your job a little more effectively, maybe talk through some things that you're struggling with, I would advise you strongly, if you're able to find someone to play that role, it can really be a life-changing event in your career as well. So, the second P is practice. First we prepared, now we're going to practice. So you don't line up for a 140-mile race and be like, "Ooh, man, this is the first time I did this." That's going to not go well. And so there's a lot of things that by practicing racing, you actually learn some very important lessons that you would have never learned if you just kind of thought about what you were going to do. Maybe kind of took your bike around the neighborhood a couple of times. One of those that is unique to the racing environment is drafting. Like normally when I go out and I'm in the middle of nowhere, it's just me. That's what I love about doing this, is it's very different from what I do at work. I get to relax, turn my brain off, and just enjoy nature. Well, when there's 1,000 other people on the roads with you doing the same enjoying of nature, there's some opportunities to do this a little differently than I did in practice. So if I get right behind another bike and I'm like inches away from their tire, and I'm good at that and I can stay in that draft, I can use significantly less energy to go significantly faster. And that helps me to get through the race faster. So this whole idea of teamwork and drafting is very important in racing as well as what we do every day. And I'll try not to get too crazy on the sports metaphor thing, because that gets old pretty quick. After all, this is about me. So aid stations are the other thing. So you have to figure out, when I'm just practicing, I carry it all on my back in a big pack. All my fluids, all my food, all of that stuff for a long day. When I'm in a race, every 25, 30 miles, there's people with food and with fluids and whatnot. And you need to decide, how does that change the way that you do things when there's other people out there supporting you and there's more resources out there to help you to get to the finish line faster. And lastly, and this is not to be underestimated, the intensity of racing is very different than when you're just out tootling around. You make decisions differently when you're under duress. And having the ability to think through that when you're super tired, when you're really not feeling good about being out there for another couple of hours, and you still got to figure out how you're going to make it happen, and oh, by the way, how you're going to avoid other bikers, how you're going to get in somebody's draft, how you're going to get down this really steep rocky hill without killing yourself. Last P, performance. So this is where race day. You've done the preparation, you've done your practicing, and now you're towing the line. And I think a lot of people, this is where it starts to fall apart, but for me, this is what makes this interesting. I love to, whether it's at work or whether it's relaxing, I want to know how good I am. I want to push my limits. I want to know where the end is for what I'm capable of. And this helps me to find that. And it's not just what am I doing compared to everybody else, but what am I able to do on that given day. And I think for me, that's what motivates me. It gets me up when it's an early morning ride or it's late at night and I still need to get a workout in, because I want to get to the line and be maximally prepared to perform. And that last one isn't insignificant either. Sometimes you just got to get lucky. And sometimes you're in the right place at the right time, sometimes you're not. And sometimes you can prepare, sometimes you can practice, and you still eat it on that downhill and your race is over. Or something breaks on your bike that you can't fix and you're done. So I think it's that they're always, if you knew you were gonna finish and you were gonna be fine, what's the point? I like to have at least a 10% chance that I'm gonna fail, because that's what gets me to the line and keeps me focused and gets me through that entire almost 10 hours. So, what does this have to do with Grove City? Probably not a whole heck of a lot. Other than I think it gives you a sense of, I didn't come to Grove City to just say, well, it's a pretty small hospital compared to where it was. I can pretty much do this in my sleep and, I'm gonna, just coast. I think that 2 years ago, when Tim Bonner was in front of this body and talked about the potential that the affiliation with Agent had for the success of Grove City in the future, I want to tell you that we have actually started to act on that potential. And I want to tell you a little bit about what's happened over the last year and a half since Agent has Grove City has become part of the Agent family. And I think that there's a two-part here, because we've got the local impact of what does this hospital do for this community, and how does this hospital benefit the network, and how does the network benefit the community hospital that is Agent Grove City. And I think that sometimes we forget that there's a benefit for us being in that larger network. It's sometimes easier to see the other way around. So I'm going to give you a little bit, very quickly, go through a couple of key points. So COVID-19, everybody, I think you've heard of it. So one of the amazing things when I first got here is that we were in the middle of an electronic medical record go live, which was just sucking all of the resources out of the hospital because that is an intense event. And on top of that, we said, oh, but we've also got to vaccinate all these people. And so some of you have probably heard this story, but our facilities manager is the fire chief here in Grove City. And he was like, hey, we got a fire company. We could just create this cool little drive-through. People, it was January, February, people don't have to get out of the car, they don't have to get cold, they don't have to slip and fall on the ice. This is gonna be awesome. And all we have to do is every day we have to move the fire trucks out. And so that was a particularly amazingly Grove City solution to a difficult problem. And that's what I love about being in a community like this. It's all hands on deck, and we solved a problem in a way that would have been impossible in a large city. And at that end, we provided over 23,000 vaccines, which I think would have been almost inconceivable a year ago. What that also allowed us, by being part of the network, what they provided is the technology and the dollars to be able to do it. And that is part of that partnership that I think we really saw, that we provided a lot of the human capital, they provided a lot of the technology, and together it was a great combination. Next one. Speaking of capital and equipment is always a problem for small independent hospitals. And one of the things that almost right out of the gate when we became part of Agent, they provided significant investment into the hospital that immediately allowed us to become part of a large healthcare network that, regardless of whether you got care locally in your community or had to go to either Erie or Pittsburgh for specialized care, you had the same electronic medical record with all of that communication that was allowed to happen between those. And then I'm not going to read the list because you can see it, and if I take too long, Jay has promised that she's just going to start clicking through all the things. So if I'm dawdling, you'll know that's why. Telehealth, something a lot of people talk about, and I think we have an opportunity to execute on this in a way that really makes sense for a smaller community like Grove City and the surrounding towns. So when you talk about Pittsburgh and you talk about telehealth, it's a nice to have. Oh, I've got my smartphone. I'm just gonna, I don't want to walk down to the doctor's office, so I'm just gonna call them on the phone. Well, here, sometimes the difference between being able to get the care in our community versus having to drive to Pittsburgh is the difference between whether someone will actually get that care or not. And for me, telehealth is personal because this is a have to have here, not a nice to have. And so we've been able to implement here in Grove City through one of our primary care offices, endocrinology telehealth visits and rheumatology telehealth visits just went live this week. and we're working on more. And on the inpatient side, we have an electronic ICU, meaning our nurses can hit a button 24 hours a day and instantly have access to a board-certified critical care doctor to help them care for the patients in our ICU. That's faster response than if they were actually in my hospital. We also have telestroke capabilities, and we have infectious disease consults that are currently happening in our hospital that's allowing us to keep sicker patients in our community so that we can care for them here. Families are able to support them more effectively, and their follow-up care is done in this community. We're also developing a telehealth suite on our campus so that people that don't have access to the technology or aren't comfortable with that technology can come to an office that looks just like any other office, medical office, and we provide the technology and the support so that it feels like the same old visit, except they're just talking to the provider on a screen as opposed to having them sitting right in front of them. We're also collaborating with a lot of people in the community. I just put one example up there with Slip and Rock's PA program, helping us to expand not only our telehealth capabilities, but some of our other clinical capabilities within the hospital. And what the network provides is the technology and the specialists that help us to achieve those aims more quickly and more effectively, and all within that seamless, same electronic medical record. So if you have the app on your phone, MyChart, you can actually schedule virtual visit right off your phone if that's your choice. And lastly, expertise. And this is certainly not an exhaustive list here, and I think that's the most important thing for any healthcare provider is that the commitments that you have to your community and the relationships that you have in the community are what are important and what matter. We truly care for family, friends, and neighbors at our facility. And that is what keeps us focused on doing the best that we can and continuing to improve. Rural healthcare is not the same as urban healthcare. That's a big for the people sitting in this room. That's not always obvious to the people at AHN and Ymca Health. And what they have intentionally tried to learn by having Grove City as part of their network is what are those differences? What are the things that make it sometimes harder and sometimes easier to provide healthcare in a small community versus a large urban environment? And that knowledge, what we're helping AHN and Ymca Health to learn, actually then comes back to benefit this community because they can design better programs and better insurance, better whatever that allows them to support me and my team as we're providing healthcare within this community with all of you. And we can do it faster, we can do it cheaper, and our results are more obvious because there's less competitors or less people doing the exact same thing we're doing, like you might find in Pittsburgh or Erie, where you may be one of any number of people who are trying to work on solutions for diabetes, or high blood pressure, or obesity, or any of the number of social determinants of health. So what the network provides is just that depth of expertise. When we run out of ideas, or I want to kind of bounce an idea off someone who's done this a million different ways, I have a whole cadre of people that I can turn to and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or, hey, do you have some funding maybe that we can use for that? Not a bad thing. So, very last thing, and then I'll be done. So, if the 3 Ps didn't get you in your business fields, I'm going to end with something that I had a presentation in my very first employees forum when I said to them, I will not accept anything less than making Grove City Medical Center great. And then we had a conversation about, well, what's greatness? Because people, that's another one of those terms that people say all the time, well, I'm great, you're great, we're all great. But I have a definition of how you become great. And I'm gonna just lay it on you, and because we're in healthcare at Grove City Medical Center, I'm going to use a biology metaphor. So hold on tight. All right, so first you have the head. The head is about knowledge and beliefs. Related but not the same thing. Knowledge is you know something. It is a fact, it's truth. You've hopefully studied to become an expert in something. Beliefs are how that fits into who you are as a person and how your values and all of that comes together, and you say, I know this, I believe this, and this is going to form the basis for what I do. That's your head. Your next is your heart. Heart, obviously, is your passion and your purpose. It's a little softer, it's a little squishier maybe, but this is the fire. This is the thing that says, I have some knowledge, I have my beliefs, but what really drives me, gets me up in the morning and keeps me coming back when I've had a terrible day is my passion and my purpose. It's what aligns me with why I do what I do. Not just I know why I do what I do. This is the fire. This keeps you going day after day, year after year, and drives you to be great. But neither the head nor the heart make a darn bit of difference unless you got the hands. And I am just killing it tonight on this alliteration thing. I am up to 3 H's. I had 3 P's, now I'm at 3 H's. The hands take what's in your head, what's being fueled in your heart, and it actually gets you to do something. Like, I'm gonna get a little personal. My son, I love my son, he's super smart. But he's still kind of finding his hands. He's got the head, he's finding his heart, and eventually he'll get to the hands. But I require on my team that if you've got great head and great heart and you don't have any hands, you don't really have a lot of value to me in my quest for greatness. You're basically just a really smart person who's going to tell me how smart they are. And I don't really have time for that. And so I need that head, heart, and hands. Now, some of you may be saying, yeah, that's great, Dave. You got all the way to 3 H's. But that actually doesn't define a great team. I think that's more of a recipe for a great individual. So what is that thing that takes us from great individuals and gets us into a great team? And yes, I came up with the last H, and this is it. It's the last one. Help. So this is my team. I need communication and inspiration to pull together all my individual great people into a team. If we can't communicate and I can't inspire you and we can't inspire each other to align our passion and our purpose that drives our knowledge and beliefs into action, then we do not have a team. But I think that if you have the head, the heart, and the hands combined with your help, that is how we are going to be great. Thank you very much.
He did such a nice job, didn't he? Thank you so much. All right, it's been my honor to be the executive director of the Grove City Area Chamber of Commerce since 2008. Over the past 13 years, I've had the honor of working with so many wonderful and dedicated individuals serving on the Chamber's board of directors. Each board member gives of their time and talent to make sure that Grove City continues to be a great place to live, work, and play. I say it every year, but we are very lucky to have a group of people who serve because they care about our entire community. Having the same focus builds a cohesive group. I will read off the names of our current board and ask that they stand if they are here. Some could not join us this evening. Please hold applause and we will recognize them together. President Bree Freeling, Armstrong. Vice President Michaela May, George J. Howe Company. Treasurer Eric Montgomery, Cash Dollar and Associates. Immediate past president Adam Cook, YMCA. Marketing chair Carmen DeRose, Grove City Premium Outlets. And membership chair Mitch McFeely, Mars Bank. And the remaining board of directors: Amanda Arnhold, Shannon's Candy Kitchen. Joanne Klobus, Highmark. Jeff Finch, Grove City Area School District. Matt Gordon, Davic Benefit Consultants, Inc. Tom Gregg, who, lucky to be him, retired recently. John Inman, Grove City College. Abby Turner Michael, Turner Insurance Agency. Amy Malloy, SR Law. Karen Mullen, Fairhaven Farms. Dino Neofatistos with Main Street Diner. And Ray Powell with Wendell August Forge. Join me in thanking them. And I do want to thank each member of our board of directors. Without their support and enthusiasm, I would not be able to do what I do, and our chamber would not be the same. Their support has always been there, but this past year and a half, with me being the only employee all by myself, it has been evidenced in new ways. Together, we were able to do what needed to be done for our chamber to continue to exist and operate at the high level that we do, so that we can continue to be the chamber of choice for our members. So thank you to each of the board members. Every year we recognize our outgoing board members who have served their full terms and have reached the end of their service on our board of directors. Tonight we want to recognize two of our board members who retired from our board of directors at the end of 2020. Unfortunately, neither of them could be here with us this evening, but I'm still very proud of their service to our chamber and our community. So I'm going to go ahead and recognize them, and I'll give them their things later, but you're welcome to look at them before you leave. So Ken Frenchak from Valvoline Express Care of Grove City served from 2018 to 2020, and Nick Walters from HBK CPAs and Consultants serving from 2014 to 2020, and he was our treasurer the entire time, and we thank him a lot. And we always recognize our outgoing president for their service to the Grove City Chamber Board. Our 2020 president was Adam Cook of the Grove City YMCA. Adam could not be here this evening due to a commitment he had with his daughter, and I can't argue with a dad and his daughter. So, but I want to take this moment to say that 2020 brought unique challenges for all of us, the chamber included. Adam was a tremendous support and a wonderful president during this unusual time. His insight and board leadership were invaluable. He would joke and say, what a year to be president, but I think it was the year he was meant to be president. And we are all forever grateful, and we do have a piece that we will be giving him to recognize his service. And we're also truly grateful to our current board president, Bree Freeling. She has been an absolute joy to work with, and I know the remaining months of her presidency will be great as we work together to serve the chamber. So thank you, Miss Bree. All right, now it's time to have some fun. So every year we present a community service award. We have a committee of past recipients that reviews any nominations that we receive and chooses the next recipient of the community service award. The recipient is kept a secret until the big reveal, which is tonight. This award goes to someone who is doing good work in the community. They are someone who puts others before themselves. They work for the common good, and they often do so without recognition. We believe in recognizing these people, and we have a very long history of doing so. If you'll turn in your programs, you can see our list of past recipients. Some we have lost over the years, but their good works live on. Some are here with us this evening. So if you are a past recipient, please stand so that we can honor you with a round of applause. And I know there are several here tonight.
Who said to sit down?
So, thank you for the example that each of you have set. Among this group of recipients is Eric Thomas, and he always leads the reveal of our community service recipient, and he does so in a way that only he can do and only he can get away with. So at this time,
Take your papers with you.
I'll turn it over to him.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Jay, where did Jay go, Doc? I don't have a big fancy presentation. You don't have to push any buttons. But thank you. You did a great job. I was on the 18th green back there. It took me a while to get up here. Been practicing some putting while you were speaking. Hope you don't mind. But nice job. And you know, you mentioned the last time we were in this room, Tim Bonner was telling us all about AHN. Thank you very much for the tumbler, please. Thank you very much. It's full of bourbon, but that's different. I got that back at the bar. You didn't provide that. Tim Bonner was so excited about AHN. I'm so glad you went through with the deal even after meeting Tim. Thank you very much. We don't like him here. Did you know that? We sent him to Harrisburg just to get him out of town. So, but we're glad he's here. Dr. Finch, you're in the cheap seats back there, right? He's a superintendent of schools here. His lovely wife is with him. Please blink twice if you're being held captive, dear. It's okay. It's a safe place. We can take care of you. So, anyway, it's glad to be here. It's nice to see everyone without a mask. I'd like to be able to say that, but that's not true. Some people should wear masks, like me. My brother should definitely be wearing a mask. Do you have your hearing aids on? Can you hear? Okay. Amy, did you cut up his food for him tonight? What a wonderful woman she is. My schedule is all screwed up. I only have my suit cleaned in December because the chamber dinner's January. So I came casual tonight. I hope that's okay. You know, I was going to buy a new suit, but Tom Burdick retired. So out of respect for him, I'm not buying a new suit. Just done. So how many times you heard people, I can't wait to get back to normal? What the heck does that mean? You're going to be waiting a long time, I think. People also say, you know, the new normal. I don't know what that means either. Clint Eastwood in Heartbreak Ridge, you may remember, said adapt, overcome, improvise. I think maybe the new word is pivot. Cool kids say pivot, you know. But we're making it through, and thanks to what the hospital has done in this town. I got vaccinated in the fire station like you described, and very simple, very easy, and we're all making it through. So, but anyway, I just wanted to get on with it and say thank you very much to the hospital. Thanks for Mr. Bonner to put that together. I teased him a lot. He can take it. So he ran for election. He has to be able to take it. My mother always said, if you can't say something nice, make things up. So thanks for allowing me to make things up over the years. But everyone in this room represents a business or organization dedicated to improving this community. We've said that all night. I get a news feed from Forbes magazine, and in it, I read an article about the list of leadership principles that Jeff Bezos uses to run Amazon. Now, whether you love or hate Amazon, that's not the point, but Jeff Bezos recently took a ride in his spaceship to the edge of the atmosphere. They should have put some kind of disclaimer on the screen when they showed that rocket ship sitting on the launch pad, that it was a little graphic, but that's a whole different story. I don't know if he's trying to compensate for something, but how that got off the drawing board and onto a launch pad, I'll never know. Anyway, leaders start with customer and work backwards. They work vigorously to earn and keep customer trust. Although leaders pay attention to competitors, they obsess over customers. Leaders are owners. They think long-term and don't sacrifice long-term value for short-term results. They act on behalf of the entire company beyond just their own team. They never say, that's not my job. Leaders expect and require innovation and invention from their teams and always find ways to simplify. They are externally aware, look for new ideas from everywhere, and are not limited by not invented here. As we do things, new things, we accept that they may be misunderstood for long periods of time. And leaders are right a lot. They have strong judgment and good instincts. They seek diverse perspectives and work to disconform their beliefs, their own beliefs. Leaders are never done learning and always seek to improve themselves. They are curious about new possibilities and act to explore them. Leaders raise the performance bar with every hire and promotion. They recognize exceptional talent and willingly move them throughout the organization. Leaders develop leaders and take seriously their role in coaching others. Now, you're all leaders in this community. You're leaders in your churches. You're leaders in this society. And being a role model and a leader and helping future generations to achieve is what our recipient tonight is all about. Not just in his business, but in this community as well. And one of the qualities that is part of this honor is his willingness to get involved. All the people who stood tonight and the list of people that was in your program, except for me. 2013, I think that was. My daughter Gracie said, "That was a pity award, Dad." So that's my daughter. Thank you very much. So everybody who's in the program has a long resume of being service-oriented, has a long resume of being involved with community organizations, has a long resume of being involved in government and political activities. But the thing we always look for is that piece that people really don't know much about. It's the piece that they do without being recognized for, and that's what this recognition is about. So they've done things to serve people in a way that none of us know, and that's going to happen here tonight. So this being an Olympic year, I thought it was time to pass the torch to some of the younger folks to step up and say a few words. Abby Turner Michael is part of the new generation, taking over Turner Insurance, and was willing to provide the information, but left the speaking part up to me. Big crowds make her nervous. She's from Harrisville and has never seen this many people in one room. Abby said in 2011, her words, "I participated in the Leadership Grove City program, and I was part of the group who created Food for Kids Backpack Project. Food for Kids provides weekend food to at-risk students in the Grove City Area School District. And from the beginning, our goal was to try to support local businesses with this program. So we purchased the food first through Save a Lot and Now County Market, and they have always worked hard to find the best items at a price that the program can afford, and with the goal to keep the cost down so that we can serve as many as possible, while still finding the things that the kids will enjoy and be able to prepare for themselves. They've been so generous in donating their employees' time each week and during the school year, the food that had to be ready to be picked up by our volunteers. In the fall, we will enter the 9th school year that this program has run and is still going strong, largely due to our recipient's willingness to be involved all these years. He is always enthusiastic about continuing the program, and we are truly grateful for the lives that have been touched across the school district." That's from Abby. Thank you very much. Jason Mckee is a third-generation person operating Willie's Smokehouse in Harrisville and a lifelong friend of our recipient tonight, and really wanted to be here, but he told me that he had a root canal procedure, or maybe it was a hemorrhoid operation scheduled. He thought that either of those would be less painful than speaking in public. But he did provide me with this story that he wanted to share. Jason said, "As many will say, our recipient is a great all-around guy, always willing to open his house to everyone. But one story that sticks out to me," he said, "was the time my car slid off the road on an ice patch. He showed up with his garden hose and planned to wrap it around the bumper to pull the car out. I'm sure you can view this whole episode on YouTube. Just search, 'Here, hold my beer.' As you can guess, that didn't go very well. But let's just say his engineering skills need some refinement. Now, Brian Ralph called me yesterday, said he had bronchitis, wasn't sure he was going to make it. He's here. Brian, where are you? Come on up here. Are you brave enough to do this tonight? Are you well enough to do this tonight? Doc, he's not contagious. That's what he told me anyway. So Brian is another youngster in town making things happen. Brian is a member of the Grove City Young Professionals, which is under the Chamber umbrella. I've always found it interesting that the venue chosen for the young professional meetings always has a liquor license. Why is that? Come on up here. Don't mess up my papers.
Thank you, Eric. When Eric called me and gave me the opportunity to speak about my good friend, it was something I definitely wanted to do, even though I was a little sick. But Dave was one of my first friends that I met here in 2003 when I moved to Grove City. I didn't know anybody. And we started coming up through the ranks of our young careers at the time. And I remember one of the first things we did in 2004 was, for Hurricane Katrina victims. We were having a couple of drinks, imagine that, and we wanted to help. So we did a fundraiser and we raised, I still have the check on my desk, the copy of the big check we gave the Red Cross. We raised $8,000 for Hurricane Katrina victims. A couple years after that, we were in one of our favorite hangouts, the Elephant Castle, I guess, and we met some guys from Hermitage that were having a big get-together, and big get-together was 8 or 10 of them, but I remember we were talking about what they were doing over in our town, and they said that this was their young professionals group, and they invited us to join, and we hung out with them and had a good time, and they tried to get us memberships to join, and we were walking out into the parking lot, and Dave says, you know, I don't think we should join them. I think we should start our own in Grove City and be better than them. And, you know, that Hermitage and Grove City battle, you know, was always going on, I think, since before we were here, but we did. We started the Grove City Young Professionals, and you know, it was a great organization. It is a great organization. You know, we had, you know, they had 10 to 12 at their events, and we had 25 to 40 at our events, and we had a lot of fun with that. So, and then it spawned fundraising for the backpack program. You know, Dave does a lot of good things in this community. I'm sure some of your kids have bagged groceries out there for their fundraising sports, and he donates to all the fundraisers in town. He's always looking to give into the community. And one of the things that, did I leave my phone back there? I think I did, yes. One thing I just wanted to say is, one of the things that I've always been told is you're a product of who your friends are. And your friends make you who you are. And I found this tonight when I was looking, and it says, the 5 types of people you want to surround yourself with: the inspired, the passionate, the motivated, the grateful, and the open-minded. And I'd just like to say, Dave embodies all those things, and I'm glad he's my friend. Congratulations.
Thanks, Brian. Tracy, come on up. Where are you? Theresa Gerard has been in charge of the Grove City Food Pantry for almost as long as I can remember. She's the perfect person for the job. She has a heart of gold, a servant spirit, and a determination to do great things and to get them done quickly. Of course, it makes sense that a local food pantry would have a good relationship with a local grocery store, but it goes much deeper than that. And when I spoke with Tracy, she had a big impact on me. I listened to her passion and grace and knew that you had to hear directly from her. Come on up.
Thanks. Good evening. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce. Beautiful event tonight. It's great to see everyone out tonight, out of your house and without, you know, any restrictions. Well, a lot of restrictions. I'm Tracy. I've been running the food pantry in Grove City for about 10 years. And, you know, it's always about getting food in there. It's always about the best price, the feeding over 546 households in Grove City. Whatever needs to be done, whatever has to be done, that's what has to be done. And so you build a relationship with local people and organizations and try to just keep in communication as much as possible. Dave ran a program where he brought in over $20,000 off of one event. I went to him and we were having troubles as always. And he said, I'd like to do something. What would it be helpful if we could do gift cards? And I said, sure, whatever you can do would be great. We'll have people purchase the gift cards here. You can come pick them up. I'm in County Market. If you don't know, if you haven't seen me there 3-4 times a week, That's another story. But Dave decided to do a gift card drive and brought in thousands of them. And they did a matching grant. So everyone was so excited for that. We had enough gift cards to give away to all of our clients for 4 holidays. 4 holidays, which is something they normally do not receive. We pick up donations from there probably 3 times a week. We pick up fresh bread, and if you've ever had the bread there, it's probably not the best thing for me, but it's fresh and it's fantastic, and our clients love it. And then we also pick up canned goods every week. Now, that may seem like something that people would say, as well you should, it's a grocery store. It doesn't happen all over the place. Places don't donate to food pantries. There's a liability to that in some people's minds, and there are laws to protect you, but some people just don't. So then you have a lot of food getting thrown away in this country that could be used for the 500 households that we have, and we're not the only food pantry. So for a store to say, we're going to set this aside so you can have this, not just for us, for other local pantries also. So we take turns, and I pick up 3 days a week. Other pantries pick up a couple of days a week, whatever they need. We're one of the highest feeding food pantries in Mercer County, so they oblige that. And then we pick up the canned goods, the dented goods. When you drop that can of pineapples on the ground, don't worry, it's coming to us. It's fine. Don't go in there throwing things around. Let's do it. It's fine. But he's always been really great about that. I did not want to do this tonight. I have no problem speaking. I'm not a shy person. I think if anyone knows me, they know I can talk your ear off for quite some time. But when it comes to sometimes hard issues, it's not easy, you know, and it was a rough summer for me, okay? We worked hard in the pantry, and we continuously work, and if it could have just been work, it would have been great. But in a very different political atmosphere, a lot of hate was targeted at myself, my family, and it was tough to come to work every day. Not because we weren't doing the same things that we were doing every day. I just don't think some people knew how to direct their emotions, and that's okay. Again, I'm that type of person. Feel however you feel. Just when it comes to me and my family, you know, it's a little bit touchier. And we had an incident where a gentleman was very upset with me for no apparent reason. And I let my board president, Mary Kay, know, you know, I'm having problems. He's following me around town, screaming obscenities. And I had a situation with him at Sheetz where the manager literally had to come out. The police have been called. It's one of those situations where it's almost like a movie. And I mentioned it one time to Dave. I said, you know, I'm having a bit of a problem. There's a guy sitting in the parking lot right now, actually, threatening to call the police because he says I'm parked in the wrong area. I know you've given me permission to park up front. I'm just letting you be aware of the situation. And when I tell you that Dave came outside with me and stood there while I packed bread up, he offered to help, but I always say no. I don't get that a lot. I get the support for the food pantry. No one will go hungry here. We work hard for that. But there are certain aspects of certain people's lives people don't understand, and nor do they try. And I didn't ask him to. He just saw something going on and decided that he was going to be there. And that's all it really takes. It's tough sometimes being that one person in the room. It's tough sometimes, but I don't even notice it. I'm just reminded of it. There are a lot of times when I come into situations and I was not raised in any different way. You are all people, beautiful people to me. That's how my parents raised us. But not everybody believes that about me, and it's okay. But when you have someone who doesn't have to, it doesn't affect them in any way, stand up beside you and say, I got you. No harm will come to you while I'm here. That's amazing. That's amazing. And that's all I've ever asked anyone to do, because I would do it for everyone. And I didn't have to ask him to do that. He did that for me. That was just personal. It has nothing to do with the food pantry. But I don't even think he understood how much I appreciated that. And that was it.
Thank you. Tracy fibbed there just a little bit, because when I called her, she accepted and said yes in just about a second. So thank you for sharing that, Tracy. And as a parent, you often wonder if you're setting a good example for your children. Are you raising them right? Have you done all you can do? Did you build a solid foundation? Mr. and Mrs. Knopp, please know the answers to those questions are a resounding yes. Please help me recognize the community service recipient for 2021 or 2020? 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, David Knopp Jr. Okay. It's your words now, buddy.
So on behalf of the Grove City Chamber of Commerce Community Service Award presented to Dave Knopp Jr., August 17th, 2021, in recognition of outstanding contributions resulting in the betterment of Grove City through continued leadership and service to our community. Thank you.
Wow. If some of you had a hard time speaking, I don't even know how to do it now. I'm speechless. I'm so honored. As Beth referred to that page in previous winners, I looked at that group and I saw all these people I looked up to, just respected so much for the service that I've seen in this community. And when Brian and I decided to start Young Professionals, the motivation was, we said, there's so many people that do so much for this community, but they're the same people, and they're going to get older, and the younger people aren't. You know, they're not stepping in. Thank you for doing that with me, Brian, and Beth. Thank you for supporting the crazy ideas I have always. And we did get young people involved in the community. I think that many of the young professionals went on to be chamber presidents and serve in many different capacities, and that to me is awesome, and I'm so thankful that we were able to do that. The kind words that you guys said, I didn't even realize it was me at first, and then I went, oh wait, there couldn't be anyone else. And yeah, now my heart's pounding. So yeah, I'm just floored. The chamber, thank you. Beth, no joke, I can't tell you how many times I've called her. During the pandemic, I called and I was like, I want to help the businesses that can't. And Beth and I got together and we came up with something, and I hope that we did help the businesses that couldn't be open. One day I was driving home from work and I was frustrated. I felt like I was failing. We were struggling to keep food. And I'm embarrassed, but I was yelling and swearing in my car. And then I went by and I looked and I saw a friend's restaurant. And then I was really embarrassed, because my problems were small. All I was doing was trying to keep food in the store. I wasn't having to try to pay my bills while I was closed, or take care of my employees without income. My God, I can't even imagine what you folks whose businesses had to be closed went through I'm just thankful that so many of you came out from under that, because it's hard to stop a business and keep going and come back is impressive, and it shows a lot of willpower, and I know many of you are in this room, so thank you. Boy, I should thank this person first. My wife, my God, she tolerates a lot. And without her, I wouldn't be here, literally, because I don't know how to drive anywhere anymore but County Market and the soccer field to coach soccer. So she is my guide in life, and thank you, Nicole. The other people I have to think about is my parents. They were the example to me. I walk in the shoes of greatness. My father and mother taught me the way. I can't be more thankful to them than anyone in this room. My dad retired this past year, and I want to do something nice for him. So, Dad, would you stand up? Thank you for your 35 years, Dad. Thank you. That's awesome. I've been trying to come up with a way to, during a pandemic, to honor you. So that's the best thing that could come of this award, honestly, is to get to honor you and Mom and the contributions that you guys did. Honestly, I accept this in your honor, because they did. They showed me the way. I wouldn't be standing here either without them. I know that. I'm so thankful to them for every opportunity they gave me. And they were blessed, though, because they had a son come into the business at 22 years old that he knew everything. I mean, this guy, he was amazing, right? He knew it all, and you couldn't tell him he was wrong. How you tolerated me, my God. And they did. They let me go through each crazy idea. I look back and I'm like, wow, would I have that? Would I be willing to let my kid put a jukebox in the entryway? You know, a madness sale? Oh, what an idiot. But because they were willing to let me take those risks, because they trusted me, I don't know why. Thank you. When it came time for 2020 and my dad retired, and my goodness, did it hit the fan. I had a moment, again, I wasn't swearing in the car, but I was at a friend's, he's a chiropractor, and I think he sensed I was off. And he said, do you have a minute? I'm like, sure. And he walked away and he came back and he goes, I collect quarters. I said, okay. And he goes, I don't know why, but I saw this quarter and I thought of you. Okay. And he hands it to me and he says, does the year 1990 mean anything to you? And I'm like, yeah, the Pirates were in the playoffs. You know? and that's memorable, right? And then he said, nah, it's gotta be something. I kept thinking, and I was like, well, I was 14, and then it hit me. I was like, this is the week I started working at County Market 30-some years ago. Suddenly, I gained my confidence back. And I was like, I got this. We've been there. We've done it. You know, we did do Y2K. We did do madness sales. And that's exactly what I went back and told my managers. I'm like, we just have to prepare like we would do for any of those events, except it's going to be long. You know, you talked about Dr. Tuppins. Yes, I hope to say it right, and say David, because I can say that. You talked about an endurance event. Well, I did a triathlon. I did a few triathlons. My first one, I got in the pool, and I was not a good swimmer. It was my weakest part, and I just took off because I'm competitive, and there was people next to me. And I had trained long. But I'm like, they're not going to beat me. And I went as hard as I could. And then about halfway, I looked, and I'm like, wow, I'm so far ahead. And then I started to doggy paddle because I was totally out of energy. And, you know, I realized this is not a sprint. This is an endurance event. And I realized that, too, a few days into the pandemic. I suddenly went, okay, this isn't madness. This isn't 1999. New Year's Eve, Y2K, for those of you that remember that. This is going to be a while. I called a friend, Dick Beach, and you can thank him for why we had toilet paper so long, because he loaned me a truck. And you know, no charge, nothing, just brought it because I needed it. And that's how this community is. I called him, I said, I think we're gonna have a problem. And I had called my manager that night 3 times and said, order more of this, order more of that. And the 3rd time my wife goes, stop calling, he's gonna think you're insane. He does, but you know, it's that kindness that we loaded that truck. And you know, we were able to stay in stock longer. As the government made different rules, I called another friend, I called Tim Bonner, and I was lost because some of the rules made no sense and were gonna cause us to fail worse. And Tim gave me amazing guidance. He would, honestly, most people don't wanna step out of the comfort and say, no, just do X. Tim said, do this. You know how to run a grocery store, they don't. And he gave me wonderful guidance and helped me to successfully guide through this pandemic, so thank you, Tim. Boy, the number of people I need to thank, I just wish I could have wrote it down, because there is so many of you, but honestly, that past Recipients Award, I have looked up to you. John, everything I've ever done, you've been serving on, by the way. So that's amazing, and that's this community, and that's why we're special. Because the dedication is there to each other. And I moved away when I was 22, and I knew it all. And at Easter, I went to church, and I came home, and I was by myself, and I just thought about my family, and I thought about my friends and the people back here. And I was like, you know, the weather's great in Florida, but it's not Grove City. The people here are what make this community so special, and I'm just so blessed to be a part of it. So thank you all. Thank you for your kind words. And Eric, the speaking you do is amazing, and the volunteer you do. So thank you so much.
You don't want a picture of me. There are some other presentations from the state senate, and our representative, our state representative's not here tonight. Mrs. Bonner, would you join us? Would you make the presentation, please? Do you have something, Tim? Tim told me tonight, be careful because I'm speaking after you. So, come on up, folks. Dave, nope, don't go away, Dave. You're not done yet. Sorry, buddy. Nicely done. Come on in. This is, who's first? There you go.
I would like to present a certificate of special recognition to David Knott Jr. on behalf of U.S. Representative Mike Kelly. And we just want to thank you on behalf of our district and our staff, and the Congressman sends his regards. He can't be here this evening, but we would like to honor you as the Community Service Recipient Award.
Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, I'm Diane from Senator Brooks' office, and unfortunately she wasn't able to be here tonight due to a scheduling conflict. But she asked me to come here and acknowledge this wonderful event and the recipient, David. Thank you. And she penned this letter, and I'm just going to say a brief part of it. Dear Dave, it was with such genuine pride and happiness that I agreed to the news that you were chosen to receive the prestigious 2020 Community Service Award by Grove City Chamber of Commerce. What a richly deserved tribute to you and your life's work in business, academia, and community. And may I extend my warmest congratulations to you on this meaningful award and the day-to-day sacrifices and services that have made it yours. Thank you for helping to enrich the beauty of businesses that lie at the heart and soul of Grove City. We are so fortunate to have you in our midst. So in honor of your award and the many major achievements it represents, please accept this formal Senate citation, which I had the privilege to prepare especially in your honor. Sincerely, Michelle Brooks, your state senator.
This is a night about jobs, commerce, and fellowship. and it's certainly welcomed after a very long and difficult 18 months. We know the history only too well when Governor Wolf divided us into essential and non-essential businesses and jobs. And that's an issue I have fought in Harrisburg since I was elected on your behalf. In my opinion, every job is essential. And all you need to do is ask the family who is dependent upon that job whether the work of the parent within that household is essential, and you'll get a clear answer. It's an answer that we gave to Governor Wolf over and over again. But one of the essential figures in our community, and I've had the privilege to know David all of his life, and I've had the privilege to know his parents, David and Vicki Knopp, since they've come to Grove City, which probably is at least 35 years ago. I remember the day that they walked into my law office. We did not know one another, and they told me of their plans. And I thought it was such a great need in the community, and they had so much to offer as a young couple, and certainly that thought has proven so correct for our community. We're so blessed to have the Knopps in our community. I'd like to give an award tonight to David, which interestingly, Governor Wolf has never said the General Assembly is essential either, understandably so. But we, the House of Representatives, and as Diane indicated, the State Senate, have all recognized the essential nature of County Market, of the Knopp family, and of David Knopp himself. Our community is so blessed to have the Knopp family. This is truly a family award that David is accepting on behalf of his family, and deservedly so. So thank you to the Knopps for being part of the fabric of this community, and God bless.
And I just want to say that truly County Market, David, he stressed himself out. He made himself sick every night worrying about our community, about his employees, making sure we had the essential supplies. That's the right word for essential, that we had the essential supplies that we could do and live and function. So thank you. Thank you. So in closing, I want to again thank our sponsors, AHN, Grove City Hospital, and Highmark. And if you please take your little mugs with you, those are so nice, and that was such a nice gift from them. So we just thank you and acknowledge that. Your support of this evening is appreciated beyond words. And to Dr. Tuppins, thank you for presenting tonight and for your leadership at AHN Grove City. You came to our community during unprecedented times, but we hope tonight that you were able to meet more people and that you feel truly welcomed. So welcome. I also just want to again take a moment to thank each of our chamber members. Your perseverance during tough times is beyond commendable. Your commitment to our chamber is humbling, and your support means the world to us. As we continue forward in 2021, know that the Grove City Area Chamber of Commerce is here for you, supports you, and appreciates you. If there is anything that you need, please let me know. I'm always working for you and will do anything that I can to support you. Yeah. Our chamber would not exist if it were not for our members, and that is something that we never forget. So, on a brighter note, there are flowers on your tables. We purchased tonight's centerpieces from our member, Coker's Grove City Floral, to brighten the room for our celebration. So we invite people to take them home. No fighting, please. But we invite you to take them home and allow them to brighten your day in the coming days. So please divide and take. So thank you all so much for coming. Thank you for being our members and allowing us to be, in my opinion, the greatest Chamber of Commerce. So thank you.